All right, so STEM for girls, right? Science, technology, engineering, and math. This is a 1.5 volt battery, and we're just gonna make sure that it's fully charged. Since it's rechargeable, it's not gonna hold 1.5. Look, we only got 1.4, but it's rechargeable, and that's gonna be okay. It's gonna be slightly less than 1.5. If we get those other new ones way over there, you're gonna see they're gonna have a huge amount. Go to that drawer. Can you grab me one of them lithium, the blue batteries in there?
Blue batteries?
Yeah, a blue battery. Right there. Grab me one of those batteries there. Yeah.
I just gotta grab one.
Perfect. And what you're gonna see, Sweet Pumpkin, some of these have the 1.5. You see that? And if you put them together, you can add them up. So 1.5 plus 1.5 is, roughly 3. But since this is a rechargeable here, we have 2.8. All right. So we can, if we add them all up together, we can get a bunch of different values. Now, it's really hard to take these guys apart. I had to rip this baby apart last night, and it took a lot of energy. So we gotta cut to the chase.
I took this part off.
Right?
We took this part off.
We'll go over doing that again, now that I understand how difficult it is. But what's really beautiful is as soon as we get under here, there are a whole bunch of connectors directly going to the motors. And I can get straight to the lesson plan, and I don't have to waste any time. So if you look at here, we have a whole bunch of connectors, right? We're gonna start disconnecting those one by one, and we're gonna remove this motherboard from this thing.
And then you're going to attach everything together to make the robot even smarter.
Yes. Now you see how these two wires are remaining? They're attached to something? These go to the battery or the microphone above us here. Yeah, they go to the microphone above us here. Okay. Yeah. So this is a microphone. And what we can do is we can just cut those for right now.
Why can't we break it with a hammer?
I have a snipping...
break it with a hammer.
I have some snipping pliers I didn't bring up, but let me get them out now. So, we use these and we can cut tiny little wires. Snip, snip. And then this one is to cut wires a certain length, and then this one's to cut wires of an even tinier length. And I only want to show you that once we get in here, we've properly installed ourselves in here. Interesting.
Can I get some wires now?
So we have the two LEDs that were hooked up here. And you see how this motherboard has the labels? You want to cut some wires? Why don't you cut some wires here, Sweet Tooth? This is a microphone. Oh, this is a microphone. This is a microphone. And so these are the front lighting LEDs, right?
I can't cut it.
Hold on. These are the left motor and this is the right motor. We can cut the... It's just interesting that this is the microphone. Now that we know that this is a microphone. Okay, you can go ahead and cut those.
One by one.
Yeah, you should cut one by one. And cut it at the very bottom so you save as much wire as possible. And when you do cut right here like this. Cut like with your fingers here and cut the very at the tip. Like that. Yeah. Upside down. That way you can get an angle. See how they're lipped like this. Right there and snip. Microphone is off. Now can we snip off the LEDs as well, please? You see how that says left motor and that says right motor? Right? Those were these one of these clips here, and we're just gonna put a battery onto that as soon as we're done, and we're gonna end the video. We're gonna put a battery and show you that go forward and backward just needs the battery to go.
Which one do I cut?
If you could snip these right here, snip, all across the motherboard so that we have as much wire as possible, it would be the best thing for us. Good. That's fine. That's no problem.
Come in.
There you go. Okay, now this one. You can do both of them at the same time if you want. We don't really need that much wire. Boom. All right, so this is the motherboard that had the screen on it, and it would receive all this information, but it's deprecated now. It's not what we want.
This,
So,
this was this part, and this was this part.
so you see these two things that we have here, Sweet Pumpkin?
Mm-hmm.
I have two things on top of this motor. I have these two wires, which are the motor plus minus, and then I have this, which is the speed controller. This one gets the IR right, IR left. Oh, okay. They were supposed to have an infrared right and an infrared left, right?
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, as we can all see, there is no infrared anything.
The
So,
battery dropped.
so these were cables that were supposed to be infrared somethings, but they didn't use them. Okay, so they just deprecated. Now, what I'm just gonna end the video with this, Sweet Pumpkin. When you put plus and minus into this battery, it will go forward into the motor. And I will grab this battery pack and show you here. So let's put our batteries in here. Now that they're all charged up, let's add them together. How many volts are we gonna get if we put all these in series? 4 times 1.5 will give us about how much volts? And if you don't know, we can use this to test. I'll hold this one and you can do the red one and tell me how many volts is in here in this battery pack.
Like this?
Yeah. How many volts are you reading?
1.
I'm reading nothing, right? Something's wrong. Yeah, something's wrong. All right, so one of these batteries might be broken. Let's find out. So I'm going to go here to here. You're getting a reading? 1.4. Here to here. What are you getting a reading? 1.4. Here to here. You getting a reading? 1.4. And here to here. You getting a reading? 1.5. All right, so let's just wiggle these around a little bit. See what happens.
I wonder what's wrong.
It's just the wire wasn't connected to somebody. There we go, 5.6. So it was almost 6 volts, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, now, you see these two wires here? They're not as good as I would like them to be. So what I'm gonna do is this. Just snip them off.
Snip.
And then I'm gonna go to the right size wire hole thingy. And I'm gonna peel off a little piece of wire. Strip it a nice little thingy.
Cool.
And that will allow us to power the motors. So, if you plug those into this thing right here, you should get this thing to turn. Let's try it out. What do you think?
I think it'll work.
Okay, let's try it. So let's put it. It doesn't matter which direction you go, because if you go one direction, it'll turn one way. If you go the other direction, it should go the other way.
Come on, Rose. Yay!
So this is forward, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so what does it mean? We need to label this as forward. So the black wire is positive, and the orange wire is negative for forward on this motor. Now it's probably going to be the opposite on the other one.
Okay, so we could just label them right there, like little tiny letters.
I think I have a marker. Well, I'll get one in the next episode. All right, now I'm going to do the same
Because I
thing
have a lot.
here. I'm going to do the same thing here, but in the same direction. I'm going to put
They're like that.
red on the black and the opposite. So it's going to be the opposite colors.
Okay.
Usually red is positive. All right, now which direction is it going?
It's going backwards.
Backwards. So the motors were put at the same direction, but they weren't wired differently. So for the right tread, we have the opposite configuration. It's black is black, and then this orange is red, which is plus. And that's it. If you put a battery in one direction, and if you put a battery in the other direction, the motor goes one way and it goes the other way. So if we were to get both of these and put the opposite directions, going one way would go forward, going one way would go backward. If we put one way can go turn, because one will go forward and backwards, and then another way you go forward and backwards and turn. And we're going to do that on the next episode, because this guy, he's going to take over doing that for us, and we're going to start sending the digital pulses of our brain.
It's in the living room.
Yeah, the living room that you remember. And all these couches are going to connect to these motors over here. We don't need to worry about the speed, the IR things, because apparently they haven't implemented that. So we're just going to not worry about that. We're just going to hook up these two wires with the motor thing, and it doesn't matter which direction we put them. We're just going to put them in here. And then we're going to take these, and we're trying to match the way we put them in there, and we're going to put them in here, okay? So somewhere in here, I want you to design the living room. We can use this battery bay later, and the on-off switch is already hooked up. But we have to put the living room somewhere in here, and then we have to wire up the motor batteries to it. Okay, somewhere in there, somewhere. And then this, we're gonna solder with that soldering gun.
So the pool, the bathroom.
Mm-hmm. And somehow this can go in there, or it can go into the bottom where the battery bay goes. We can just cut all this out and make a battery area with a big battery pack, even bigger than this, you know? We can use any batteries. That's it.